Howdy, partner. Hey. Okay. So there we were. I just got back just got off with the Greyhound after preaching to all them Jewish people by telling them the Our Father, which they weren't too pleased about. And my brother Joe was waiting for us in his taxi, and he wasn't too pleased about seeing old man Clyde. He said, "Where'd you pick up this homeless dude, man? I thought you were bringing a young guy to the house for Christmas. Where are we going to put this guy?" You know. But still, he put us in the taxi, and on our way to the house we were, a few days before Christmas. I was pretty excited. I hadn't seen my folks, my brother and my mother and my sister and my other brother. I hadn't seen them in a couple of years, I believe it was. The last time I spoke with my mom, she told me that I was no longer her son, that she didn't know me. She didn't know who I was because I was a drug addict and I had changed and I was a hippie. So she made that statement to me. That was one of the last things she said to me last time I saw her, that I was no longer her son and that she didn't know who I was. Maybe I didn't know who I was either. But anyway, I found myself, I found love, I found peace, and I wanted to share it with the family, with the folks, man. So we arrived to the house. And boy, needless to say, it was a revolution. My mom freaked out, and she said, took me to the side and said, "Who is this guy? Get him out of my house now." My sister freaked out too. My younger brother, he didn't live there. He lived somewhere else, and my older brother also lived somewhere else. So he just deposited me there in his taxi and took off. But the civil war broke out in the house, and they wanted to. My mom and my sister, they wanted me to have the old man leave, but I fought to keep him. I said, "No, he is not leaving. He is with me." And there was this big, tug of war going on, and finally they eased up. But the old man was so humble, and he felt so embarrassed for being there. He felt he was imposing, and I guess he really kind of wanted to leave or something, but I wouldn't let him leave either. I said, "No, you're staying, man. You're going to participate in a beautiful Christmas Eve dinner," because us Latinos, we celebrate Christmas mostly in Christmas Eve. We have a dinner. And then Christmas Day is usually, besides giving out the presents, it's a time to recuperate from your hangovers. And still the family gets together. But the major event for Latin people is Christmas Eve. So, finally they kind of eased up after a couple of days, and even to the point where they started to see how humble he was. He was old man Clyde. He was a lot more humble than me. I'll tell you that much. Well, that ain't hard to achieve. But they started feeling sorry for him because he was always, the only fighter there was me, but the old man was always so quiet and so humble and so sweet and so apologetic, and they started to change, like to feel sorry for him, and they stopped being like mean to him and stuff, and to the point where my mom gave him a bath and stuff. She got him, I think, some used clothes somewhere in one of them Goodwill stores, and then they started, he started growing on them, like he was just so sweet and didn't want to be in the way, and they started to feel sorry for him. But guess what happened, how life is, that I think it was a day before Christmas Eve, or 2 days before, and or maybe a day before, old man Clyde went for a walk, and he never came back. He disappeared. He just left, like an angel. Like an angel, in my mind, that fulfilled his mission. So we all learned a great lesson. I was able to perform my first, maybe missionary action, love in action, but and my families, they were able to maybe see, into the life of a complete stranger who nobody cared about. And I'm sure it had an effect on them because, like I said before, they started to have a change of attitude, but then he disappeared. And that was the end of the story of old man Clyde, like an angel. Anyway, we continued there, and there we were, and we had a nice Christmas together, and things calmed down, and you know, one day I went out, and I came back. I went out, and I came back at night, and I met this fella from Colombia there in Miami, and he had some weed, some marijuana, and he turned me on to some, and it was very strong marijuana. And I got so high, so stoned, and I went back to the house, but I wasn't comfortable with it. I was like, it was weird. It was like I just felt completely uncomfortable and almost scared. I was like, wow, I wasn't myself. I wasn't able to enjoy it as I always did all my childhood, all my teenage years. I totally enjoyed marijuana, but now it wasn't an enjoyable experience. It was a scary experience and like a paranoid experience. And so then I realized, I said, man, maybe forget it. I don't think I can go back in that direction. And one thing I realized was that, boy, if I have this love for God now, and I was just, every time I went out, I was talking to people, and I was like full of all this energy and giving people loves and really trying to touch base with people and talking about God and stuff on my own, I realized I needed to become part of a group. I needed to find people like me that had the same idea, because otherwise I was going to lose this newfound revolution and spiritual revolution. I was going to lose it. So I realized I need to find other people that are on the same level. And so I tried. I called all these different churches and Christian groups and Jehovah's Witness and this group and that group. But I don't know, on the phone, the vibrations that, I just didn't feel, they seemed kind of dead or something, or lifeless, like, oh yeah, young man, you need to calm down your fire. It's like that at the beginning, but later you'll be able to calm down, instead of telling everybody that you love them. Oh yeah, we have youth meetings on Thursdays, come and share with our young people the Word of God. And, it just seemed as if, man, these guys are going to kill me. It's going to be like going to a cemetery or something and losing my fire, because they kept telling me, oh, you need to calm down, just fit in. Anyway, a lot of things were going on at the same time. Another thing that went on was that since I had failed my mom's expectations for my life for so long, for so many years, I made a promise to her, and I said, Mom, I'm going to become a normal person. I'm going to work. I'm going to get a normal job. You're going to see. I'm going to make you proud. And so I did. I went ahead and I got a job in this factory, and there I was in the job. But in the job, it was the same thing. Talking to people about God and reaching out to people, and full of all this fire and joy. And I felt it was my mission to share with people love and call them my brother and my sister, and tell them that I love them and stuff. I felt I had a compelling motivation that was behind me in the job. And there I was, making Mom happy, working at this job, but I still felt I needed to find a group. And then I remembered about that girl I had met back in Texas, kind of hippie. She seemed kind of a hippie, a combination of hippie and Christian. And she was so liberal about the marijuana issue and kind of didn't condemn me and told me that, oh, that's okay, but maybe little by little the desire will leave because Jesus will fill that void. And I said, well, those were Christians that seemed kind of cool. Maybe I should call her in Texas. And because I had the phone number, I said, well, maybe I should share and maybe they'll have a solution for me. So that's what happens next. I called this group, and the name of the group was called the Family International. Back then, the Children of God Organization. That was the name of the group. So I'm about to call that group, and you will find out what happens next in the next adventure of the Street Pastor Julio, finally touching base with the Family International Children of God organization.